case. It's just so surreal to me that other people are enjoying and looking forward to my videos, and I really needed an outlet like this in my life. And the most rewarding part has been finding those other people who are interested in the same things that I am. So just thank you. Also, do you like my new shirt? Let's dive into today's case. As always, I like to start by saying if any of the information that I found through my research of this case is incorrect, please feel free to correct me in the comments. On the cool fall morning of Sunday, October 29th, 1995, in Hartford, Connecticut, just before 4:50 a.m., a Hartford Courant newspaper delivery driver named Bill Fleming was on his way home from his third shift on the corner of Locust and East Elliott Street, outside of a UPS store. He noticed a man striking a woman inside of what was described as a dark-colored, newer model Nissan Maxima or Altima, headlights off, with what appeared to be a temporary tag in the back window. A partial New York license plate was noted. The man in the driver's seat was well dressed, in his mid to late 20s, and had dark, slicked back hair. When Bill heard the woman scream, he quickly turned his truck around to come to her aid. As he approached the vehicle, it flew down the street, traveling about 60 miles per hour, with the woman hanging half in and half out of the passenger side door. She would be dragged along the road for 4.5 miles. The longest crime scene in Connecticut state history to this day. Another witness, using an emergency phone at the corner of Elliott Street and Wethersfield Avenue, called in to report the vehicle dragging a woman